Bonjour French 1, this is your section 3.1 video all about our new adjective vocabulary. Adjectives, remember, are describing words, so they use them to describe, in this section specifically, usually how people are, both personality-wise and physically-wise. I want to remind you before we get started of the standard rules of these video notes as far as you have to write down the words that are on the line with the yellow background. The words that are in parentheses are your choice. And then, of course, I will pause after I pronounce each word to give you a chance to also repeat after me and practice saying these words as well. Now, one thing that's different about these notes is there are two versions of each of these words. Now, sometimes they're the same, but a lot of times they are slightly different, and that's because there is a different describing word based on whether you are describing a boy or a girl. So just like how we had a different word for the based on whether it was the masculine item, which would be le, L-E, and the for something feminine, L-A or la. Same thing with the French words for describing words. If you use a describing word to describe a boy, it's going to look and sound different than it is if you are using it to describe a girl. A lot of them are very similar, and we're going to learn the rules for how they make them agree with whether they're a boy or a girl next video. For now, I just want you to jot them down. So let's go ahead and get started. If you want to say somebody is old or elderly, you would say that if it's a boy, he is âgé. And if it's a girl, she is also âgée. Notice that the pronunciation on that one is the same, but the spelling is slightly different. Whether it's a boy or a girl who is young, you call them jeune. If it's an item that is old, like you have an old car or something like that, the word for old, if it's a masculine item, is vieux. And if it's a feminine item, it's vieille. And if it's a new car or some other item, the word for new is nouveau. Unless it's something feminine, and then it's nouvelle. So moving on with personality words, and I get that there are a lot of words here. It's a lot of writing. Feel free to pause if you need to be able to get stuff done. Alrighty, so the word for kind, if it's a boy, is gentil. For a girl is gentille. You can hear the pronunciation difference, and the cool thing about writing in the pronunciation is you can actually see when it's pronounced differently as well on your screen. The word for funny for a boy is marrant. And when you add that E for the feminine form, it becomes marrante. For a generous person, somebody that shares and gives a lot of themselves, the boy would be généreux. Girl would be généreuse. A smart boy would be intelligent. A smart girl, you actually hear the T at the end, intelligente. A creative boy would be créatif. A creative girl is créative. If somebody is great or awesome in general, they are génial. If they are a girl, they are géniale. The word for nice, and it's the same as kind, they're interchangeable. The word nice, though, is the same for both boys and girls. The short version is sympa. The long version is sympathique. If you have an athletic boy, he is sportif. If you have an athletic girl, she is sportive. The word for good is either bon or bonne. If a boy is serious, he is sérieux, while a girl is sérieuse. Both boys and girls who are shy are called timide. The word for mean, if it's a boy, is méchant. For a girl, it's méchante. Boys and girls that are annoying, wear you out, they went by tiresome, they mean that they just bug you all the time, are pénible. And then a lazy boy is paresseux. And a lazy girl is paresseuse. Now we get into the physical description of people. One of the things that is always common that people will describe is what eye color somebody has. So you'll also learn some colors along with this. The word for eyes is just les yeux. But then if you add the color to it, notice that the color comes after whatever it's describing. So even though we say green eyes, they say eyes green. Then you actually get more specific about what color eyes these people have. So the word for green eyes is les yeux verts. Blue eyes are les yeux bleus. Black eyes, which are not all that common, are les yeux noirs. And brown eyes are les yeux marrons. Now just to give you a quick thing, this is not actually on your paper. If you wanted to squeeze it out to the side, I know there's not a lot of room on this notes page, but you already know how to say the words for have. The verb avoir is the word have, that stupid song we learned with J-A-I, tu A-A-S, il-A, L-A, or the other one that we also talked about in class. Either of those could be useful in helping you remember your forms of avoir, but the forms of avoir are the words for have. So if you wanted to say that a person has these colored eyes, just like we would in English, you would use the words for have. So for example, if you wanted to say I have a certain color eyes, I personally have brown eyes, I would say j'ai les yeux marrons. And if you wanted to talk about a boy or a girl having a certain color eyes, you would say he or she has. With just a reminder, it would be il or elle a, whatever color eyes. In this case, I wrote she has blue eyes, elle a les yeux bleus. Just reminding you that you already know the verb avoir, just reminding you that you need to know that you can actually use it with eye color. So hair color is the next thing on the list. Now, just like in English, you can either talk about somebody being blonde, or you can say that they have blonde hair. Same thing in French. These first three words are if you want to talk about the person being red-haired, blonde, or we oftentimes don't say dark-haired, we say brunette. Either way, if it's a boy who's red-haired, you would call him roux. And if it's a girl, you would call her rousse. If it's a boy who's blonde, you'd call him blond. If it's a girl who's blonde, you'd call her blonde. If it's a boy who's dark-haired or brunette, you'd call him brun. And if it's a girl, you'd call her brune. Now these are examples of what you would use with those forms of avoir we just got done talking about. If you wanted to say that a person has white hair, has light brown hair, has long hair, has short hair. So the words for white hair would be les cheveux blancs, for all those older people that you know. For light brown hair, it's les cheveux châtains. For long hair, it's les cheveux courts, les cheveux longs, excuse me. And for short hair, it's les cheveux courts. So if you can't tell, the word cheveux right here is actually the word for hair, and these are all the describing words for the hair. Notice that just like with the eye color, they always come after whatever they are describing, in this case, the hair. So our last little bit here has to do with size vocabulary, so describing how big or small somebody is. The word for short for a boy is petit. For a girl, it's petite. If a boy is tall, he is grand. If a girl is tall, she is grande. If a boy is thin, he is mince. And same for a girl. If a boy is fat, it's gros. Whereas if it's a girl you're describing, she is grosse. And then a strong boy is described as being fort. A strong girl is described as being forte. And then a couple miscellaneous things. Eventually we'll get more into the overall general term for handsome or beautiful. For boys it's beau, and for girls it's belle. And then the reason why they give you a few body parts is sometimes you'll say something like they have really big nose. Oops, my goodness. Sometimes they might have a big nose, or they might have a big head, or a big mouth for that matter. So they are giving you a couple of body parts here just to start your vocabulary on that. The word for a nose is le nez. The ears are les oreilles. Mouth is la bouche. And head is la tête. Make sure you bring this paper with you tomorrow so that we can talk about it more in class.